Hi everybody, it's me Jill and welcome to Jill Informed. This is the recap of The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, Season 3, Episode 8, RSVPlease. Okay, we open this week at Lisa's house, and we are with the entire Barlow family. Lisa, John, and Henry and Jack. Guys, this just occurred to me now. I feel like this is the most uncomfortable family on camera. Like they all seem very aware of the camera, even Lisa to an extent. But I feel like Lisa's trying to do her best to be natural. And Jack, John, and Henry are, Jack and John are like robotic, afraid of what to say. Henry is like a goofball that actually looks at the camera. At one point, when Lisa is talking to Jack, Henry's behind Lisa and he's like making all these gestures and stuff, trying to get Jack to laugh. Anyway, Lisa is telling Jack that she would like to get more God into her life and that she wants to, get back to having Bible study at least once a week. Lisa tells him, I tried out for Heather's choir because that's her way of feeling connected to church still. But my watching her, I just feel more compelled to go in the other direction because it makes me miss the things that I'm more connected to. I mean, honestly, I would feel like going in the opposite direction would be moving away from spirituality altogether, but whatever. Anyway, end of the day, she would like to set an example for her boys by going to church with them every Sunday. And Jack goes, the great thing about religion is that there isn't just one set way. And John goes, well, yeah, that's kind of like what your mom always said. I actually believe that meditation is a way of praying. You don't necessarily have to be saying words out loud. You could just kind of speak them in your head. And then he goes, like what Jack's doing right now. Poor Jack seems to have fallen asleep on his feet. He's just sitting there with his eyes closed. Henry, the 10-year-old. Jack's daydreaming about women. Oh, God. Henry's going to be trouble. You know that, right? It's usually the younger kid or the youngest in the family. He's going to be a real handful when he's a teenager. Okay, next we are skiing with Whitney, Jen, and Lisa. Whitney is forcing Jen and Lisa off of the bunny hill and onto the big girl hill with her. So they're all in a little chairlift together. And, it's not bad. They get down. Here's the funny thing. I'm a bunny hill kind of girl myself. I always have been, and my husband is a skier. And he always used to say, when you go out west, someplace like Vail or Aspen or any of those big mountains like they have in Utah, there are big mountains that have just kind of a gentle slope. And it just it's fun because it takes you a little bit longer to get to the bottom, than a bunny hill is zoop, and then you tow rope up, zoop, back down again. And it sounds nice, but we've never done it. Anyway, like I said, Jen and Lisa start off pretty good. They fall, but, no serious injuries. So, that lasts about 14 seconds, and now it's discussion time. And I guess they're talking about their auditions, because Lisa said, how did your audition go? And Whitney said, well, apparently I made it. Seriously? Because I feel like she and Angie H were really bad. At the singing part. And Lisa goes, so did I. Seriously? Heather, maybe she didn't get as many people signing up for this thing as she thought. Not because I think Lisa can't sing. I think she can. I thought hers was one of the better auditions. But, their relationship is a little rocky. Then we see a flashback of Heather calling Whitney to congratulate her and ask her to join the choir. And there's a bit of a pause on Whitney's end. She's FaceTiming her. Now we cut back to the ladies on the mountain, and Whitney tells them, the last time I saw Heather, I was escorted from her house. Not so much escorted as you can see yourself out. Okay, so now Whitney tells Jen and Lisa that she told Heather to just consider Lisa's side of things, and that Heather then grabbed her shoulders and turned her around and shoved her to the door. Then we see the flashback. Again, not quite Whitney. She pushed you out of the way so that she could get in her bedroom door and slam it behind her. There wasn't any real, shoving toward the front door of her house. Either way, Lisa is eating this up. And she looks at Jen and she's like, can you believe this? Jen's kind of like, she doesn't say anything, but she's not ready to jump on this bandwagon of trashing Heather, even though she's mad at Heather herself right now. In her confessional, Jen's like, I'm surprised Whitney defended Lisa to Heather. But that doesn't sound like the Heather I know. Yeah. What is going on with Heather? Something's going on. Something's bothering her. Last week, I thought it was that she really did have too much on her plate. She was stretching herself too thin. But honestly, now I'm wondering if it isn't just more related to this separation from the Mormon church being more painful than she thought. Not from the church, just that her family members, she might be causing a rift between her and her family members. It sounds like Scientology to me. I mean, not that bad. I don't think they're to not speak to somebody who's left the church, but I mean, maybe it's frowned upon. What do I know? So now it's Jen's turn to tell them her Heather story. She's like, when I told her what Angie and Chris Harrington, 52-year-old man, did to me, she was genuinely upset about that, Whitney. In the moment. And Jen's like, yeah, in the moment. And then at the auditions, it's another story. Why didn't she defend me to Angie? Whitney says something kind of interesting here. She says, I feel like I'm always chasing Heather down and asking, are we good? Hey, I shared with you that I had this trauma that I'm working through right now. And I'm trying to explain to you that in the past, when I have stirred the pot or been messy, it's because that's how I've learned to behave. That's when I got attention. Okay. That's kind of insightful, right? Anyway, she goes, and I'm trying to tell her, I'm trying to break that pattern. I don't want to be that person anymore, but she never once picked up the phone to call me. And Jen's like, yeah, I don't like being in this space of ambiguity. I want to say, hey, I'm hurt and we need to talk about it. Okay, remember that Jen said that. I don't like being in this space of ambiguity. Just keep that in mind, that Jen said that to Lisa and Whitney. Okay, moving on. Next, we are at Jen and Sharif's house, where Sharif is hosting a barbecue for the men of Salt Lake City. Jersey husbands, look alive because you might be having some competition here. Side note, who knows what's going to happen with the Jersey husbands anyway? There's such a divide. Melissa and Joe didn't even go to Teresa's wedding. I feel like everything's up in the air over there. There's constant rumors that Melissa and Joe are getting kicked off or that Teresa is moving on and having her own show. I don't know. I mean, Teresa has such bad behavior that I really hope they don't reward that with her own show. But also, Bravo's making a lot of money off of Teresa being the person that she is. And reluctantly or not, I think we have to admit that she makes the show. It would be okay without her. It wouldn't collapse. I mean, other franchises managed to do it without Teresa Giudice. I just think it was so much better with her. You know, she is a person you love to hate. But back in Salt Lake City, these bros love each other. Everyone gets a big bear hug when they walk in the door from Sharif. Seth is there first, then Justin. Honestly, the guys are so much happier to see each other than the ladies. It's hilarious. Then we see Ernesto, who is Dana's husband, and Sean, who's Angie K's husband. Yeah. Now, we've already met Angie H's husband, Chris Harrington, 52-year-old man. And I'm going to guess that he will not be here at Sharif's barbecue. I don't know. Just a hunch. And also, side note, my apologies to Dana, who is just as much a housewife as the Angies. She is one of the three new. I forgot that I even knew there were three new housewives coming on. Otherwise, I would have realized right away. Dana was not just a random friend of Heather's. Dana is actually a friend of, I guess. Because still, when we see the opening, it's just the 5 original ladies, not an Angie in sight. Okay, the spread looks amazing. There's sweet corn and mac and cheese and brisket. It all looks really delish. In Sharif's confessional, he said, cue the tender music. It's important for us to get together in spite of whatever drama our wives have with each other. It's important not to let it affect our friendships. No wives allowed. And then we get, hey, the strippers are here. It's Jen. Anyway, she's on her way out the door, but Sharif's kind of like, I'm just going to give my wife a hug and send her on her way. So Seth has been threatening to have a one-on-one with John ever since John walked in the door. And now the time has arrived. They go outside, and Seth is so scared to begin this conversation that I can only imagine that Meredith set him up to do it. Because you guys know that when the cameras aren't rolling, Meredith is scary as hell. I just know it. She probably told him, oh, you're going to be with the guys? Is John Barlow going to be there? Well, then you better defend me. You know what I mean? Anyway, let's see how this little talk goes. As I said, Seth is very nervous. And he's like, oh, it's not that cold out here. And John's like, yeah, in the sun. And you know, you're not going to get much from John. He will let the uncomfortable silence sit there because he's half robot, I think. And that's why Jack is a quarter robot. Seth, I never had a situation like this where I have a friend whose wife went crazy on my wife. John. He's not going to give him anything. Side note, this might be a hot take, and I'm not a Lisa Barlow defender, but I am a defender of, like, the truth. And I wouldn't say that Lisa went off on Meredith. They got into a very heated discussion. Lisa walked away and went in her bedroom and closed the door, with no cameramen in the room, and had a little rant about Meredith. Now, I would say people do that all the time. When somebody frustrates them, their spouse or their boss or a friend, you kind of just have to release your anger. And I actually think she did it in a pretty healthy way. She didn't spew things at Meredith that she didn't mean and would regret later. She left, and then she said all the horrible things she could think of to herself in the bedroom to kind of let it out. It's a coping mechanism. It's screaming into your pillow, basically. Now, unfortunately, Lisa was still mic'd. It was a hot mic, and she's, on a reality TV show. So she got caught. But it was certainly no worse than when Jen was venting about Heather, and Jen did it to a camera. Anyway, in the grand scheme of things, I think Lisa doing it in what she thought was privately was a lot better than to Meredith's face. And because of that, I don't really consider it going crazy on his wife. Anyway, Seth also mentions that John didn't even speak to Meredith at Sharif's birthday party. And John's like, oh, yeah, no, I didn't. I was kind of, in my own zone. I don't think you can expect more than that, Seth. I mean, I think that's as much emotion as you can get out of a robot. Seth tries another approach. How would you feel if Meredith said, Lisa Barlow is a garbage trash whore? It's still funny. I mean, look, nothing will ever be as funny as you smell like hospital. But it's still funny. Anyway, sorry, let me get back to it. How would you feel if my wife said Lisa Barlow is a garbage trash whore, half of New York, and her husband can't keep a job? John. Yeah. So then John says, I mean, in Arizona, your wife brought up rumors that Lisa cheated on me out of the blue. Seth doesn't say anything, and you guys, there will be hell to pay for that because it wasn't Meredith. It was Whitney that said it in Arizona. It was Whit via Angie H. Here's the problem. These two probably only half listen to their wives, if that. Maybe a quarter of the things that their wives say get through to them, especially John. And this is not a slam on the robot community, but being half robot, it might just be that he can't retain everything that Lisa says. I mean, she talks fast. That might be difficult, number one. And number two, the robot part of him probably processes everything, all the information of the day, and discards that which is useless. And, that might be 99% of the things that Lisa says to him. Anyway, John's basically saying, hey, nobody's perfect. We've all done and said stupid things that we regret and then apologize for. Seth goes, I just think that when you have qualms with someone, you should say it to their face. Oh my God, John again says, well, your wife brought up rumors out of the blue. Seth, nothing. Oh boy. You better pack your bags, dude. On your next business trip, you better pack enough. Well, just take everything, basically. Just take everything with you. I think it's for the best. Meredith has twice now been accused of being the one that brought up these rumors out of the blue. Oh, wait. Oh, hold up. She did, actually. Not in Arizona. He had that part wrong. But it was actually Meredith who was going around telling everybody, there's rumors out there about her marriage and her finances. She wasn't specific, and she also said, I don't think they're true, but they're out there. She just got it out there to the right people who ran with it, right? She said it to Jen, episode 1. She said it to Whitney, episode 2. No, I don't know when that was, but early on, and I forgot. Meredith is the one that got the old narrative running. And then, of course, Whitney ran with it with specifics about her servicing a hideous man courtside. So I guess Seth can stay, even though I still think that Meredith is not going to like that. Anyway, John said, I agree that, communication needs to be better. But Lisa has tried to talk to Meredith, and Meredith was like, I don't have time for this. Inside, the other guys are kind of all looking outside into the backyard to make sure that, no fists are flying, but that's specific to the New Jersey bro. I think the Salt Lake City bro is a very different breed. John tells Seth that he really values their friendship, which honestly, that is John getting in touch with his human half. And I think Seth should appreciate it, which he does. And goes him one better by saying, likewise, man. That's why this is so hard, when you love a dude. John agrees. It's tough. They bring it in for a hug. Oh, yeah. This was heartwarming because you know how tough life is for men. And I think we women need to recognize that. Be more gentle, be more understanding. Okay, so the two go back in arm in arm. I don't know, maybe. I don't remember. I don't think so. And Sharif says, I just have one question. Are you better? There's kind of a long pause. I don't know if they don't know what he means by that. And he goes, better than before you went out there? Seth, yes, sir. Sharif, that's all that matters. And then Seth goes, how are you doing, man? All that stuff with Jen's got to be tough. Sharif, oh. Cue the tender music. I believe that God never makes mistakes. Never. Yeah, okay. But what about Jen? Does she make mistakes? Because I think she might have. Cue the tender music. I cry some days because I can't fix this for my wife. I can't control the outcome. And some days I feel absolutely helpless. He gets choked up. All the men lay hands on him, rub his back, hold his hand. Well, not John, but again, half robot. I don't think he's programmed to do that. That's unexpected. When he left for the guys' barbecue, he was not programmed to be tender and hugging and holding hands, which seems to be what this is all about. As I said, very different breed of bro. Coach thanks his bros, tells them that they have lifted him up. Cue the tender music. And you ask me how I'm getting through this? This is how I'm getting through it. Yeah, the bros will help him through. Justin, my life changed a little bit this week. Justin, we're not talking about you right now. He's like, so, I stepped away, well, I guess parted ways would be a better way of putting it, with the company that I've been with for 7 years. Everyone's like, oh, no. Oh, they feel it. The other bros in this room more than make up for the half of John that's a robot. There's so much love in this room, guys. Justin, life throws some interesting things at you. And, I really think it's all about the way that you react to that. Yes, Sharif understands that completely. Sharif, cue music. I tell my wife every day, I don't know what's going to happen 2 minutes from now. I just know how I'm going to react to it. God, I'm not flinching, okay? So now what? I understand why he's a good coach. I feel like he could be a minister. He has that cadence with his speech and that he is an inspirational guy. If you go back and watch my Salt Lake City from season 1, that reunion, I had a very different take on Sharif. All season long, I loved him. And then I felt like he was treating his wife like his daughter, maybe. He was speaking for her. He was apologizing for her. It felt very misogynistic. And I was starting to think, oh, okay, maybe there's this other side of Coach that, you know how husbands in particular, housewives too, but husbands in particular, on their rookie season, on the first season of Housewives, they are on their best behavior. When the cameras are their best behavior, most of them. And, you can't maintain that for that long. Not when cameras are in your house for so many months of the year. You eventually have to drop the facade and be your real self, at least a little bit. And so I thought that maybe that was what was going on, that I only liked him because he was, putting his best foot forward or something. But, I'm back to falling under his spell again. Is it the way he speaks? I don't know. He's very inspirational. Okay, next we are at Meredith's new home. She is just renting it, but if I'm comparing apples to apples with her new home and Jen's new home, this is still not in a neighborhood. This is still like a beautiful chalet type home in the mountains, it looks like, without neighbors. But again, they're just renting. So we check in with Meredith, and she is in the kitchen with her niece and nephew. And her nephew's like, oh, what are you up to? And she said, I thought we'd make a little snack. A little white bean salad. Her nephew is Alex, and he goes, oh, can we help? And she said, well, you can open the cans of beans for me. Which he does, but then she can't stand how poorly he's opening the cans of beans, so she needs to take that from him. Oh, honey, here, let me. The mess is worse than the help. Then Myra, her sister, comes in the room. Oh, what are you guys doing? We're just making a little white bean salad. Then, for reasons unexplained, it takes 3 people to cut a lemon in half. Carcassonne. In Meredith's confessional, we are reminded that her sister and her nephew and niece, they are in town from Chicago for the fashion show event that her sister is having for the charity that her sister is involved in, with helping people with mental health problems with resources and stuff like that. Her nephew, Alex, who's there, is the one that last year attempted suicide. Meredith is graphic about how it's not necessary for me to repeat it. It doesn't matter. What does matter is that when her sister comes to sit down and have a little white bean salad and chat with Meredith, just the two of them, Myra tells her, he's getting so much better, Meredith. That's great. But the question is he getting better at expressing where he really is? Okay, Meredith, thanks. I said he was better. No, but her sister said, yeah, he really is. That's the amazing thing. He told his therapist when he's been triggered. So Myra is very adamant that this event be a positive event. She says to Meredith, you need to think very carefully about who you want to invite at our positive event. Meredith, well, yeah, that's a wild card with this group. Myra, they have not been good to you, Meredith. Oh, this is interesting. Meredith, it's not just Lisa. In Arizona, Whitney got it into her head that we have to tell Lisa we were talking about her. Now, fast forward to today, she has apparently continued to insist to Lisa that I'm the one that started the rumors. To the point where John actually said something to Seth about it. Okay, so she was mad about it. I don't know if Seth got in trouble for not defending her. Myra, well, you certainly don't need to deal with that. That is not a friend. Okay, that may not be a friend, but she certainly does have to deal with it because it's a coworker. It's a cast member. So she absolutely has to deal with her. And so will you, Myra, at the event. If you want the exposure that Real Housewives can give to your charity, that is. Otherwise, feel free to have your event drama-free and camera-free. I mean, isn't that the trade-off that everybody makes? You have a serious event that is maybe a charity for something that does great work helping people, and the Housewives will make it a shit show. Oh, make no mistake about it. That's almost their favorite place to get into drama. It is definitely a trade-off. Do you want the exposure for your charity at the risk of it, being messy? Or do you want a lovely event for everyone who attends, but it's not going to be on TV? All right, guys, I hope you've all gone through your scales, warmed up, did your tongue twisters. I don't know what they do before choir. Anyway, it is time for the first choir rehearsal. Angie K is picking up Jen, and they're going together. Jen still sounds very hoarse. Is Jen in the choir? I thought she was just helping with auditions. I guess. She lost her voice. Maybe that's why she brought the megaphone. Oh, that'll be pretty. So Jen tells Angie that she went skiing with Whitney and Lisa, and that they both made the choir too. Surprise, surprise. Jen is going to support Heather, but she's still pretty angry with Heather for not defending her in front of Angie H. She just wishes that Heather would have had her back and told Angie she needs to apologize, for what she and her 52-year-old elf on the shelf did to the Shaw family, which was messed up. Really messed up. Angie K. Oh, well, there's a few things we're going to need to talk about. Oh, do tell, Angie K. Meredith invited me to a spin class last week, and when I walked in, Dana was there. Okay, side note, why are you saying it like that? Because you're friends with Dana. You're acting like Meredith had to spring Dana on you or something. Anyway, she goes, she brought up the situation last week at choir auditions by saying, yeah, what was that with Jen bullying Angie H? Oh my God. Seriously? Then we get a flashback to the spin class, and Dana says, don't you think Jen could have handled that differently? Honestly, I feel like she was almost bullying. What I've noticed is no one stands up to her, and no one puts her ass in check when she's stepping out of line. Dana, you're the one that pulled Jen aside when she was trying to hype up the crowd. You're the one that pulled her aside to tell her that the Angies were getting into it about Shaw Exposed. So anyway, Angie K is telling this in the car to Jen, and Jen goes, wait, no. She said bullying? Does she know what Angie did to me? Then in Jen's confessional, she said, you know what? Fuck Dana. In what world am I bullying Angie Harrington when Angie Harrington's husband set up Shaw Exposed? Good point. But you did bully the elderly. Just saying. Not bully. You tricked them. You tricked them, sort of. You sold their information to nefarious companies. I think that's really what happened. You yourself did not bully the elderly. You facilitated it. You just made it possible. Okay, so the choir members are starting to arrive now. The first group is the real choir members. You know, the ones who aren't just here for the show. They actually can sing and they actually want to be part of this choir. Then Angie H walks in, then Whitney. Heather is thrilled that she came, but Whitney is like less thrilled, let's just say. The three of them are talking and Angie H says, when Heather told me you made the choir, I was like, oh, well, you're just letting anybody in, Heather. Heather acts like it's the funniest thing she ever heard. Heather, I thought. Which it was funny. Maybe it's just that the pickings are so slim here. I don't think Meredith, Lisa, or Whitney have a real, like, any kind of a sense of humor. Jen, I think, is funny. She could be funny, too. In Whitney's confessional, she said, if I want to repair my relationship with Heather, I'm going to have to show up and support her, even when it's painful. I mean, we're singing Mormon hymns. She was there when I signed my papers, knowing that I have so much trauma around the Mormon church. I mean, that is kind of true, and I think that would have been an actual, real, genuine excuse for Whitney not to show up for Heather. You know, I think Heather would have understood that. Or don't sing Mormon hymns. I mean, you left the Mormon church too. There's a whole lot of other hymns out there. Okay, so now everyone all kind of pulls chairs around into a circle. Jen and Angie K show up. Lisa's right after them. Heather is, again, just delighted that Lisa came. But Lisa tells us in her confessional that there's just a Band-Aid on their relationship and it can be pulled off and there are no sutures. So, you know, gets exposed to the air and dirt and, you know, can get infected. There's probably oozing pus and I may have lost the analogy. I think what she's trying to say is they haven't addressed the root of their issues. Okay, well, I guess we're going to avoid some drama at choir practice because Dana not coming, and neither is Meredith. Sorry, Angie K. I'm sure you were all geared up for a fight. So now Corey, the choir director, gets them to all stand up and they start to hum at first. Heather again thanks Lisa for coming and gives her a hug. And Lisa said, I was going to quit. Heather goes, oh, I didn't know you were going to quit. Quit? You didn't even start yet. And Lisa said, yeah, because you and I have to talk. Then we cut to Heather's confessional.
Ugh, I hate her.
Lisa tells Heather that she's putting in the effort for their friendship. Heather just kind of wants to say, hey, you know what? This is bigger than both of us. So, you know, Heather wants to just not, let's just table this kind of a thing. Poor Corey. He's trying to get things going. Now he's got people like singing the scales. You know, at first I felt very nervous for Corey because I thought, oh, sweetie, you might have choir director experience, but you don't have experience with these housewives. But then in his little intro speech, he said that for 20 years, he taught middle school choir. Okay. I actually think that's great preparation for housewives. Spend time around middle schoolers. Okay, so while the real people are humming, Lisa and Heather are in the back of the room having a discussion. Lisa, I want to support you. Heather, I know it was a huge gesture and it means a lot to me. I don't want this anger between us, but why would you take something that is so sensitive, like my dad's obituary and death, and a text message exchange that I had with you while my dad was dying, okay? And tweet that if you didn't want to go backwards with me. This part's kind of funny because the choir's getting louder and louder and it's making Heather and Lisa get louder and louder, but then like the choir will stop and they're still talking loud and it's kind of funny. It's also kind of rude. Lisa, you have to see my side, Heather. You denigrated my character because you told a lie. I felt like I had to clear my name. And so I did it. I was second guessing myself. Like, am I that shitty of a person? Heather, yes, In her confessional, Heather says, "Hey, Lisa, you're an empath, right?" We cut to a flashback of when Lisa said she was an empath. So Heather's like, how about focusing on the feelings? I'm hurt, and as an empath, you should feel that. Okay, but I mean, facts matter too. So finally, Lisa said, "Heather, do you like me?" Kind of a pause. "It's a yes or no question." Longer pause. "It's a yes or no question. Do you like me?" Finally, Heather says, "Is that important to you?" "Yeah, it's important to me. Because if you're saying you're my friend and you don't like me and your actions are showing that you don't like me." Okay, well then the answer's no. Well, side note, we do know that the answer is no. She said it in her confessionals many times, but I'm wondering if she has the guts to say it right now at choir practice. So here's what she says without saying yes or no, but this is a no. She said, "I have never wanted anything more than to just be good with you. But you created this space where we weren't good, and you never owned that." Well, Lisa disagrees with that. Heather's like, "Okay, if you want to move forward, ground zero, starting now, I want to be your friend." Okay, that's what Lisa wanted to hear. Lisa, "But you lied, and Heather's like, "Oh my God. Are you for real right now?" Lisa, "Listen, let's just talk it through." Meanwhile, Angie H. asks Jen for a one-on-one. So they must feel like they've already learned the song well enough. They can go off and chat now. Angie H., "Listen, you are a casualty in this, and I am so sorry. And he is so sorry." I assume she's talking about the 52-year-old elf on the shelf husband. Chris H., "Jen, there's just all these rumors out there that affect my credibility, and I'm going to trial to fight for my freedom." Angie's like, "I know." Then Jen tells her how upset Sharif was and that he said, "I should talk to Angie and Chris and have him apologize in public, just like he put our name out there in public." Angie, "For sure. Yeah, absolutely." Here's a thought. Why didn't you do that already? Why make Jen ask for it? As a gesture to show that you were really sorry when you called her, Chris Harrington, 52-year-old man, when you called Jen and owned up to it and said you were sorry, you should have said, "And I'm also going to say this publicly so that I can help clear this up." I mean, did he really think an "I'm sorry" phone call was good enough for what he did to her and her family, like putting her name out like that? I don't know. In her confessional, she said, "I don't like living in this space. So if Chris can do that, I can move on from this, and so can Coach." All right, back to Heather and Lisa. Lisa, "You know, because you were in Arizona, there's a lot of rumors out there about me that hurt my family." And Heather goes, "I would never sign up for those lies. I never heard them or corroborated those lies. I think they're ridiculous." Lisa, "Well, Whitney has been very consistent in saying that you guys were all part of that. And I'm choosing to believe Whitney." Heather, "I know you are, but that's crazy, man." Lisa, "Why would she make something like that up? You know, Whitney's here. Why don't we bring her over here?" So they call Whitney over and she says, "I think that Heather conveniently forgets things, or she really has forgotten." And Heather's like, "Okay, so if either is true, how do I fix that?" Lisa, "Is that an easy place for you to go? Because when you called about auditions, you said, 'I don't even remember how we left things.'" Then we see a flashback to when she invited Lisa to join the choir. And yeah, that's what she says. She's like, "I don't even remember how things were left." And she said almost the exact same thing to Whitney. Heather says she completely forgot that she got so mad that she went in the bedroom and slammed the bedroom door in Whitney's face. I mean, I find that hard to believe she forgot that. Now Heather says, "It's because what you said, Whitney, didn't land with me as sincere or real. I felt like it was fully fake." Whitney, "Because I have a friendship with Lisa." And Heather's like, "No, be friends. That's wonderful." Whitney, "It's the first time I haven't gone along to get along. I don't want to be in this awkward space anymore. Side note, I asked you to remember when Jen said it because Whitney has a tendency to latch on to somebody's phrase if she likes it or something, and not wanting to live in this space, be in this space. I don't want to be in this awkward space with you. Jen said, I don't like being in this space with her. I just want to say, hey, you hurt my feelings and talk about it. Whitney is now latched on to that. It's just so funny. She has her own that she keeps saying too. That's why I feel like she's very scripted, like in her own head. I don't think Bravo handed her a script. I'm saying she practices things in her head that she's going to say. And one of her favorites now is, I used to go along to get along, and I'm not going to go along to get along anymore. And now she said that a few times. So Heather goes, hey, you know what? Don't go along to get along, and the awkward space is gone. And so is Heather. Yeah. She walks off, leaving Whitney and Lisa standing there. Whitney, this is what she did that night. If she doesn't want to be the same level of friend with me, that's fine. I now know where to put her. And we all just jump right into a rousing rendition of God Be With You Till We Meet Again. Okay, next we are at Meredith's house. And Dana comes over for a visit. It looks like Meredith has set out a little snack. It's not a white bean salad, but it still looks lovely. You guys, Meredith offers her a drink. And she said, oh, just water, flat or sparkling. And then she opens her refrigerator. Guys, it's all drinks. The entire refrigerator. Now, I know what you're going to tell me. She probably has another refrigerator for food or something. But this is like a rental. So I don't know that, maybe, because it's a big house. But this refrigerator, all drinks, just liquids, filled. Flat water, sparkling water, various kinds of sparkling water, OJ, champs, more cans of pop and flavors of pop than you would find in a 7-Eleven. Yeah, there's Coke, there's A&W root beer, Sprite, there's like a Fresca drink, fully stocked. In Meredith's confessional, she said, I like Dana. Now that I'm shedding my more toxic relationships, I'm spending more time exploring new friendships with people that seem kind and caring. Meanwhile, Jen and Angie K are meeting at a pool somewhere. I don't understand the weather here. Like yesterday they were skiing, and I get that the top of the mountain, when the elevation changes, there can be snow on the top of the mountain. It can be warm down below. I get that. But remember at Jen's house when Seth and John went outside for the one-on-one bro talk? They talked about, yeah, it's like kind of chilly. Seth was like, it's not that bad out here. And John goes, well, yeah, if you're in the sun. And now these two women are in bathing suits. And they're getting in a pool. I'm confused. Outside, Angie K said the water temperature is perfect. Okay, so apparently Jen has been wanting a real girls trip, and she was telling Angie K about it, and she wants to go someplace warm, she said. Which, you're in a pool in Salt Lake City, so apparently it's warm there. I don't know. Anyway, Angie K said, you know what? I have a friend who has a house in San Diego. So they're like, yes, perfect. In Jen's confessional, she said, I need a real girls trip. Like a Jen Shah turned up kind of trip. I don't want a healing trip. I don't want anyone bringing up their trauma. We get glam, we get cute, we go dancing. We keep it right on the surface. I can see why people like Jen, except, the elderly. But yeah, gosh, she really did try hard in Scottsdale, didn't she? She was like a one-woman entertainment company. She had the megaphone. She had the twerker that doubled as her makeup girl. She tried to make it a fun trip. Okay, so these two have leis, and they're drinking out of coconuts, and they've got like blow-up palm trees behind them. They're doing this whole setup so that they can FaceTime the ladies and invite them on the trip. Which is cute. It's a whole little, looks like they're on a beach somewhere, sort of. I don't know. One of the blow-up trees behind them is like flopped over and deflated, but the idea is cute. So they call Meredith first. Yeah, Meredith, who's hosting Dana at her house. Meredith answers the call. It's FaceTime. And they go, "We're calling to invite you to San Diego." And they're all happy. They got their sunglasses on and their lays. Meredith then turns the phone to Dana. "Look who I have here." Dana, "Hi, guys." Jen is like frozen. She's holding the phone up and she's like, got this like look on her face, like she's not moving at all. Finally, Meredith goes, "Who's all going?" Angie K. "So it's you, Heather, Whitney, Lisa, Jennifer Shaw, and Angie Katsanavis." Jen. "And Dana, I would invite you, but I heard you were talking girl." Meredith. "Jen, I think you and Dana have a miscommunication going on here." Side note, Dana looks like Meredith's stepdaughter or something, or like a friend of Meredith's daughter. And you guys know how Ramona always said that Avery's friends were like her friends. They all wanted her to go out with them because she's so much fun. And maybe this is one of her daughter's friends. I don't know, but she looks too young to be a housewife, doesn't she? She's cute, but she just looks really young. So Jen starts getting upset. "Don't call me a bully, because that's not what happened." Dana. "I don't like the way that you talk to people, Jen. I don't tolerate stuff like that." Oh my God. Do you tolerate what Chris Elf on the Shelf 52-year-old man did? Creating a Finsta to troll women? I think you're missing the bigger picture. First of all, Jen was pissed off at her and yelled at her. She wasn't bullying her. This is weird. Did somebody tell you to take the Angie Harrington side of this? Even Angie Harrington doesn't think it was right. Strange. Anyway, she said that to Jen. And Jen said, "Wow. Dana, we're done. Meredith, we'll call you back later, baby. Bye." Hangs up. Jen is just super upset. She's like, "I'm the one being bullied online by her husband." And Angie K is like, "Don't even defend yourself. This girl's a total stranger." Jen's like, gets out of the pool, puts a towel around her. She walks into the building. She's gone, leaving Angie K alone in the pool by herself. And she goes, "Well, aloha to me, apparently." And that is where episode 8 ends. All right, you guys, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know when episode 9 is going to air because I looked at the schedule and it looked like it wasn't going to be on the day before Thanksgiving. So I don't know if they're skipping a week. My husband and I are going to New York City for Thanksgiving to see my daughter. I think I'll be back. Like by the time you guys see this, I think I'm able to kind of space it out so that you guys won't be missing like a whole week of my recapping. God forbid you should miss a week of my recapping. Anyway, I think I'm going to space it out the right way so that you won't miss it. Unless there is no episode. We'll see. But instead of like previews for next week, it was like that mid-season previews for what's going to happen the whole rest of the season. And wow. There's a lot. You are going to want to stick around because just whoa. Yeah. I don't want to spoil any single thing about it. All right. That's it for me. Thank you guys so much for being here. I think you're going to see this before Thanksgiving. So happy Thanksgiving to all of you. And as always, if you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up and please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. If you would like a notification every time I have a new video come out, please click on the bell icon. And if you are doing any of your shopping on Amazon for Christmas or anything, please consider using one of the links in my description box below. You have to click on the little arrow and you have to click on the word more that's bolded, and then I think you have to click on more again so that you can see all the things I'm listing. You don't have to buy any of those things, but if you click on any one of those links, it will take you to Amazon. And then any purchases that you make for your holiday presents or anything, I will get a small percentage of that. It doesn't cost you anything or affect your order in any way. So I would appreciate it. All right. Thank you guys so much. And I will see you next time for the next recap of The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. Bye.